After Red Hood was killed by a zombified Captain Marvel Jr., everyone was angry at Constantine because if he never asked them to help him steal the Spear of Destiny and Shazam's staff, Jason never would have died. But Constantine wasn't really remorseful because he had looked into the future with Madame Xandu's crystal ball and knew the path that he was taking was the only one where they defeated Trigon. The comic then jumped over to Batman, Cyborg, and Superman. Cyborg successfully managed to recode his blood, but he was frustrated because he wasn't sure how to turn it into a cure. So Batman asked Swamp Thing for help because he was once a brilliant biologist and biochemist. Swamp Thing wasn't confident that he could do what Batman was asking of him by himself, but Batman wasn't asking him to do it by himself. He was asking him to link his mind with several of the other heroes with Dr. Fate's telepathy and the Green. Because while he had the fastest mind on the planet, Poison Ivy was once a doctor of toxicology, Mary Marvel had the wisdom of Solomon, Batman was Batman, and the rest of them were also smart as heck. So there was no way that they wouldn't be able to find out how to create a cure if they combined their intelligence together. And of course Batman was right. They successfully created their first sample, and all they needed to do to start mass producing it was test it on a zombie. Canary wanted to test it out on Ollie first, but Mr. Miracle wanted his wife Big Barda to go first because if they had miscalculated, Ollie's body might not be able to withstand any of the adverse side effects because he was only a human. So they made their way over to Big Barda. They needed to test it on her fast if they wanted to cure as many zombies as possible because Professor Ivo and Penguin let out all of their Amazo clones and they were annihilating every single zombie that they laid eyes upon. Zombies that could have been cured, but they didn't know where Barda was because the crater that Mr. Terrific left her in was completely empty. The chains she was confined by weren't strong enough and she managed to escape. But just moments after this discovery, she flew in out of nowhere, smashing Mr. Terrific onto the ground. So Superman immediately injected her with the cure, a cure that wasn't working at first, but thankfully it eventually kicked in. She was set free of the anti-life virus, which meant they could finally start mass producing the cure. It was absolutely critical that they started right away because the Amazo clones weren't the only ones killing zombies by the masses. Trigon was as well. He finally made it to Earth, and upon his arrival, he wiped out every single zombie in Paris within 15 minutes. As soon as Constantine felt his presence, he equipped all of his magical items to go out and face him, but before leaving, he took one last extreme precautionary measure, calling Dr. Fate over to his side so that he could stab him with the Spear of Destiny and take his helmet and medallion, because thanks to the crystal ball, he knew that this was the only way to save the world. But sadly, that's where this issue comes to an end, but if you want to see what happens next, let me know in the comments down below.